Hello. You are listening to Dads with Startups, a podcast about a couple of entrepreneurs who put family first.
Hey, Kevin.
Right, howdy. I'm
Loving our new intro.
loving that. I was ready to. I really want to go out and find a good blues/jazz club around here because I haven't been since the whole lockdown and the
Yeah.
coronavirus. But there's a couple that I've been meaning to get to, and I'm motivated now with this intro.
So, what's new?
So a couple things. I would say so the website is done now. I have not turned it over to the new one, but that's just a matter of getting it done today. After this podcast, I'm going to make it live, push my changes to the production to the live site, and I'm excited about it. It took twice as long as I expected, and there's still issues that I need to kind of keep working on, making sure things like the funnels are working and stuff like that. But I'm excited about just now being able to give people the website and having them, and then emailing them and saying, yes, here's what I'm working on, and having them be able to look at something. And then the good news is I had a nice customer development call last week with somebody who I kind of thought maybe there was a possibility that he would be interested in what I'm doing, and I got on a chat with him and I pitched him the idea of what we're doing. He was like, yeah, I want to talk about this. This sounds really great. So we had some good, we did some good brainstorming about how, he could use it to take his course. And I think one thing that we are, kind of it's coming to me, I'm realizing is one of the benefits of having a product or a course system like ours is, for those who want to really take advantage of smart checkout, internet marketing type checkout systems to improve their sales, we can really fit in nicely to that because we have that flexibility. We can throw ourselves on WordPress. We can throw ourselves on almost any platform now. And you can use something like a Samcart. You can use something like we're going to be integrating with something called StudioPress. So I have to reach out to them. Actually, I want to do that. But I want to use it. We're already using it ourselves to sell courses, and it has these amazing features that help get more sales. Like you make an initial purchase for a course, and then you're sent to an upgrade page, and you get a special one-time offer that you're only going to get that one time. And so for some of those more complex sales funnels, our product fits really nicely into that because you can just throw it behind a checkout system of any kind. So that's something that I'm really thinking about, is like having the ability to integrate with different checkout systems is going to be a plus for our customers after talking to him. And that seemed like that was something that he was interested in. So anyway, that was exciting to kind of have that first call or talk with someone. Now the question is, how is this going to work? And him and I are going to have another chat about implementing it on his site, and I'm going to be basically like, this is sort of a good time for people like him that are interested in building out their course or migrating their course over, because we're going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for them. I think we just have to.
Thought about offering the checkout aspect yourself, maybe through Stripe?
Yeah, that was the initial plan, and it still is the plan. I think what we're going to do is have initially the integration side ready, so you can just plug and play with the different checkout system that you like. Because again, with WordPress, there's so many different plugins that do this anyway, and so finding a couple of good ones to integrate with, and then having our own built out down the road will be on the roadmap, because I think there's just going to be some people that don't want to deal with it, and they're like, but I can't. But that's almost its own product, right? Like, so you could really go into the rabbit hole with the complexities of building a great checkout system that does a million different things, or like us, we'll probably just do the basic, standard checkout system, maybe with recurring revenue. So anyway, that was something that we talked about, and I think the other thing that I don't know how much I mentioned it last time, but we are planning to do a sort of like a VIP service offering where people who are interested in joining this, joining us early on this, we'll be doing a lot of the build out for them and integration on their site and all that kind of stuff. At least for a while, we're going to have this, and maybe there's a premium price for that. But it'll be kind of an encouraging way for people to get started. So
Right.
don't know what that price looks like right now. I think we'll start, a couple hundred at the beginning, and then maybe it goes up as we go down the road.
Cool.
But yeah,
Cool.
so those are some of the updates with that. And should have the site out, owlish.com with 2 W's. Should be ready to go by the end of the day. So by the time people hear this, it'll be something to check out.
Owlish with 2 W's.
Yes.
All right. We'll put that in the show notes.
Cool. Yeah.
I was
totally.
going to pull it up and check it out and describe what I was seeing here, but
There's not much there.
it's not up there yet.
Not
No.
up there.
So maybe next time.
It'll be there. It'll be there for sure.
Cool.
What about yourself? Updates on your end?
Well, I am. So I'm in the office. If you're watching on YouTube, I have a different background today. I have this cool co-working space that I work out of, and it's sort of got that San Francisco vibe
Yes.
to it. A lot of red brick walls and kind of exposed wiring and
Mhm.
heater ducts and everything up above. But it's empty because tomorrow's Thanksgiving.
Is it pretty
Everybody
busy
went home.
typically?
Yeah, lately there's a company here that they've kind of surrounded me.
Mm.
I have 2 desks here, and they've kind of surrounded me and taken a whole bunch of desks, and they're all great people, but they just raised a bunch of money through
Oh.
traditional VC,
Nice.
and so they hired like 8 people out of nowhere, and it'll be interesting because the founder of this one started the same time as me, and at the beginning of this year they were about the same level in recurring revenue, but he brought on a partner and they've raised some money, so it'll be interesting to see like the different effects there.
Similar
how
business at
quickly-
all, or are they completely different in terms of their?
Completely different industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool.
but I mean, so it's been busy when they're all here, and it's kind of fun and it's invigorating. I hear a lot of chatter about the problems they're facing, and sometimes that turns into some good discussions around here.
Yes.
So, yeah. Do you have any plans?
There's a
for
few places
Thanksgiving?
like that in. Oh yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say there's a
Sorry.
few places like that here in Phoenix that I worked at. I enjoyed working at, and I do miss that energy of being able to kind of just start up a conversation.
Yeah.
In the hallway or whatever. It's sort of like a bit of like a conference where you can just kind of, get to know people and you see them. And so it's a sense of that I missed, because again, this is the first time we're doing like our own private office, which is really nice
Right.
to be able to just stay, and it's, there's a pleasantness of having that privacy, but at the same time, I kind of miss that, the co-working vibe. There is a place that I may, down the road, maybe it'd be cool to do an office in a co-working space, as I know. That's probably what they have. I'm sure they have a little bit of that,
Like
of
a
that going on
WeWork.
there. Yeah. Do
Yeah.
they have private offices where you are, or is it just only?
There's one. It's rather
Okay.
large. They're talking about building out some others, but I will be moving 45 minutes
Oh,
away
that's true.
soon.
Yeah, so it won't matter to you.
Yeah, so I'll be looking for another. But this co-working
Maybe you
space
start
has been a
one.
game changer. I could. I mean, I don't know if it's I can make a lot more money writing software. We'll put it
Yeah,
that
I
way.
think so. Well, the guys, there's a nice story that I always enjoy thinking about, which is the guys who created Ninja Forms for WordPress. I think it's a plugin for WordPress.
Mhm.
I think that this is like 4 or 5 years ago, they were somewhere in I'm not sure where, maybe the Midwest or something. They were doing really well, and they were just like, there's no good coffee shops around. Let's just make our own next door. And so they just bought, or they rented a place in their industrial kind of park, wherever, and hired some folks to manage and build out a coffee shop. And so that's their, I always thought that was like kind of a nice, because that would be,
Like a pet.
yeah, exactly. It's like
project.
their pet project that they just enjoy having around. And it's, the other guy who did something similar was, there's a plugin called Easy Digital Downloads for WordPress. And he's kind of well known in the WordPress community, the founder of that. And once he I think he was doing annual revenues of over $1 million, had a few other products. he and his brother went in and built a brewery in Kansas, and then they basically just turned over the management to their top guy of the plug-in business, and just mostly spent their time doing these custom brews and stuff like that, which was cool. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so there's that possibility, but anyway.
Yeah, this space is, when I came here, I was a freelancer, and there were several other entrepreneurs in the building. Not very many individual freelancers, but like myself, but I would say true entrepreneur, where they've been hiring people, and it changed my perception and my goals. So I can't say, if I hadn't started working here, I can't say I'd be where I am today. So a little sad to leave. I'll probably keep one foot in here a little bit, because it is only 45 minutes away, and
that's not bad.
I haven't yet figured out what my office situation is going to be. So
right,
just to fill you in, we're building a house, and I'm losing my home office that I have in my current home because we have an unfinished basement. So I'll be working out of my bedroom for a while, or commuting down here when I have a meeting and I can use the space for a little bit more privacy.
Do you have a new unfinished basement or anything that could become an office one day on the property?
Yeah, it's completely unfinished basement.
Okay, so that's the new one.
Has room to add 3 bedrooms down there.
Oh, great. All right. So completely unfinished. So there will be an office down the road. It's just not now.
There will.
Okay, good. All right.
Yep.
Very, very wise.
So,
I like it.
The question is, when am I going to have time to do it? When is lumber going to get cheap enough to afford to frame it out?
Now, can you, again, kind of like the idea of like, it'd be better to make money off of software. Could you just do you like to do that stuff on your own, do the construction stuff, or do you think it would be worth it to have someone else come out?
I plan on framing myself.
Okay.
I'll probably run all the wiring, and install the outlets myself. Some of the bathroom work I'd probably hire, like tile, that kind of thing. Yeah. It's definitely, I think, takes someone who's had a lot of experience, because you can really mess up tile easily. And I'll probably hire someone to do all the sheetrock and the mudding and taping, because that's just a pain in the butt.
All the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll do all the fun stuff.
That's good. That's inspiring, because so we're still in the house buying process right now.
You didn't close? I think
we didn't close yet. And so what happened is that there was one issue that was a structural question that we had. We were able to finally get a structural engineer to come out, drive an hour and a half up to where this place is, out of the Phoenix Valley. And great guy. He took a look, and he made a report. We figured out what was going on with the place, but it does need to be fixed. It's going to be at least a 20 to 30 grand job to fix this thing and replace the beam. It's a big beam there.
Yeah.
That was basically, they just, over the garage, they threw together I think 4 or 5 2x8s or something, and hope for the best. And this was back when they built it, and so it didn't work out. So that needs to be done, but it's going to be a hefty price. So we've asked for a hefty reduction in price, and now we're just kind of waiting to see what they do. I mean, the good news is I think it's in their best interest to just take our deal, because now we've sort of opened this up, and they're going to have to disclose this to the next person.
That's true.
So. I think for their sake, it's probably better to just kind of let us take it off their hands. But anyway, if we take this place over, we're going to have to separate the bottom and the top into different units, and I'm going to have to do a lot of that myself, I think, just for I'm not someone who enjoys it as much. My parents were big into DIY growing up, and so I do know a lot of this stuff. But it's not something I really enjoy. So, but
so hire it out.
I think it's something that I'll probably have to do some of. I can hire some of it out, but I'm gonna have to do a little bit of my own. And it's good to know that you're doing it. Like, you're a pretty busy guy, so if you can do it, I can at least do some of it.
It's about the break, because I work at a computer naturally all day.
True.
So I really enjoy yard work and that kind of thing.
That's a great way of looking at it.
It's funny because we brought up I can make more money writing software we closed on our house, on our old house as
Nice.
well just now. So
Congrats.
we are officially living rent free in our old home.
Lovely.
Um,
Oh, that's
they
right. You're
let us-
giving an extension.
Yeah, they let us stay until we can move into our new house, which is happening in 2 weeks. Um, and I'm not going to share numbers, but I did crunch the numbers on how much money went into principal and interest for the last 9.5 years that we've owned that home, and we've basically tripled that investment.
Oh, great.
In the cash that we're able to pull out now.
Awesome.
That all goes into our new house because the real estate market is
Right.
just wild right now. But
Amazing. That's so great.
Um,
Great investment. Yeah, I mean, I think we're really thinking these days just about like, what can we do to, as Rob Wallen, I think he was the first one that kind of brought this into my consciousness, which have as many different types of passive income sources as you can, and really diversify that income stream. I mean, I think that's what most people are working for one boss, working for one company, that's their sole source. And so it really does make you, it even changes the way you work. If you're working for a company and you need that paycheck to put food on the table, it shifts how fearful you are during each day. When you get an email from the boss, what feeling you get versus, you know what, I've got another business on the side here. I'm not going to sweat it. If everything falls apart, I'm good to go. And the more income streams we've added to the picture, it's really made me feel less stressed, because there's times where one of our businesses will, take a hit just randomly for whatever reason, and the other one's still going up, and just like,
Right.
okay, well, thank goodness, So I think having just assets like a house and seeing that the result of your investment, that's really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're never going to sell our house and just cash out. We're always going to keep some real estate.
Keep going.
So
Right.
It's sort of like a net. Our net worth has gone up, but we can't really do with anything with that money, right? That
True.
value. So
Yeah, makes sense.
well, let's see. As far as what else has gone on besides selling that house, and working on moving into the next one. I've been struggling with a lot of feedback from customers lately there's no angry customers, and people are still happy with the product, but I've been getting a lot of requests that just piled on top of each other. I'm starting to get the sense that there's a lot to be desired of the product from customers, So, I mean, I'm working on this list, but it definitely it motivates me to start launching again.
Okay.
So.
And so do you feel, I'm curious about that, because in my plugin portfolio business, I'd say a good 30% of all customer requests of customer support tickets are feature requests. And I have kind of come to a bit of a balance on, initially when we started this, I was like, okay, sure, we'll do it all, right? And more recently, as I was talking to my project manager on it, it was just like, we're going down these rabbit holes to fix, to like plug every leak. Every person's, desirable wish list is like getting, sure, we'll do it for you. And then it's like, well, does it always really, do the benefits outweigh the cost of it? Clearly, though, you have a different type of customer who you kind of need to satisfy. They're a larger entity, and they probably have a bit more higher expectations of you coming through. So what's your thought about like when to say nah and when to say sure, we'll absolutely jump in?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you have to build a moat, and you do that with features. And if you ignore that too long, that's when the competitors pop up and start taking over, And so there has to be a balance there. A lot of the concerns that I've had lately aren't necessarily feature requests. It's more like I can't figure out how to do XYZ. For example, today I was helping somebody run a report from their data and pull that report out of Civic Review. And there is a way to do it, but it's not very straightforward. And if it's not a seasoned user, it kind of takes a phone call
Sure.
from someone like me to explain why the report has to be structured a certain way. And I realized, you know what, this is a pretty standard report. They have to submit this report every month, and a lot of users like this person have to submit it. And part of the question in play is, why isn't everybody else asking for this? Well, I think they're used to using software that made it hard beforehand.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so they're just okay with doing the hard job, you know, instead
What's
of
hard
asking
about
us.
it, out of curiosity? Like, is it just the number of steps you have to go through, or?
It's more like they have to export data, pull it into Excel, and then do some more
Gotcha.
filtering on top of it.
I see.
You know,
Okay.
so
Yes.
in a way, it would be, we can translate that into a feature request, but they didn't come in saying, "Hey, I need this feature."
Yeah,
They came
yeah.
in saying, "I can't figure this out." You know,
Makes sense.
and you know, I told this user, I told her there really ought to be a way for this to be easier, huh? And she was super nice, and she was just like, "Well, I'm just new, you know, just teach me how to do it, you know." But I think a seasoned user would have been like, "Yeah, this is the one thing that bugs me every month that I have to do."
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Especially
So-
if it's something that they have to redo it, you know, like if it's something where they had to do some filtering on an Excel sheet once for a template, and then once they did that the first time, it was easy after that. That'd be one thing. But if it's something that they have to redo the process
monthly
every time,
report. Yeah.
that could be
The-
quite a good,
Yeah,
you know,
so
then you're saving people's
I was
times, which they appreciate.
Yeah, and we are in the throes of the business license renewal season. So all of our customers that use the platform for business licensing, it's the end of the year, and so we're getting quite busy with customer support calls, which is natural for this to happen this time of year. But it's really like opening our eyes to things that, you know, maybe we just need to update the UI or, you know, do XYZ, and then we'll have less support that we have to handle.
That's cool.
You know,
That
So-
would be very strategic. I mean, I think that one thing I've noticed, you know, we had something a few years ago. We had created a first version of a plugin that people really wanted. But the way we executed it, which was me, I developed it, was not ideal. Like, it was sort of like a halfway integration. And it would leave the users with basically reports that were garbage. The integration resulted in not an ideal. It did the job, did the bare minimum, and we got so many requests. I mean, this was the constant, like, people would, and a lot of them were refund requests. Just like, no, I didn't think that this would be such a halfway point. Like, I thought you were going to go all the way, and so I put this off for 2 years, where it was just like, this is, you know, such a big ordeal. We have to re-engineer the entire development. And so it just got to the point where I was like, my sense is, though, if we do this, we'll reduce our tickets by at least half. And so we embarked on that about 2 years ago. And it was a project that I thought would take about 2 months. It took a full year to finally move from this version 2 to version 3. It was a full rewrite, and it was just painful. But I will say, I mean, the result was a huge drop in tickets. And then when we got now we get tickets, it's usually, okay, yeah, you probably have something wrong with your settings, done. It's not like, oh, this is, you know, I spent 8 hours going through the step only to figure out you guys left me hanging, and a lot of anger and a lot of bitterness. So I think there's a lot to be said for being sensitive. It sounds like you're being very sensitive ahead of time versus, you know, waiting and then they complain because they're upset, you know.
Yeah. Do you, and not only does it lower the number of tickets, but it increases the number of promoters, you know, super fans.
Yes.
Do you do any measuring for like a net promoter score or anything on any of your?
No, not on not right now. And I think it's just because our products are so, it's like the sum of the parts makes a nice business, but they're so, each product is kind of so specialized and small. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't even, I don't even bother trying to promote it. It just kind of just shows up for most of the products that we have to just show up in Google searches. And that's been good and bad. I think in general, if we, down the road, I think with this new product, as my hope is that as it grows, that's something that we should check out is kind of going down that road, because it'll be something that we're focused on this one product.
I just added a product. I can't remember what it's called. Oh, Delighted. I've seen it used by tools that I use, and I've been getting these surveys, and I was like, I really like this. I'm going to go ahead and add this to the site. So it was really easy to integrate into the site. It just pops up along the bottom of the app once every 6 weeks or so, and asks them how likely they would be to recommend Civic Review to a friend or colleague.
Nice.
And for those of our listeners who don't know, that's the NPS stands for Net Promoter Score, because it basically captures how many people are answering that question on a scale of 0 to 10. How likely are you to recommend the product? It kind of balances that out and gives you a score, a total score.
Beautiful.
So, and I think basically a promoter is regarded as somebody who gives it an 8 or above.
Okay.
So a 7 seems like an okay grade. Maybe it's even a 9 and 10. The bar is pretty high there for a promoter.
Cool.
And then you have neutral people who maybe are like 5 to 7 or whatever.
Wow.
And then detractors are everybody down on the lower half. And then we just kind of benchmark that. And our score is healthy when it comes to benchmarks, but it's funny, we don't have enough volume to draw any hard conclusions right now, but I'm hoping that just historically we can watch that. And as we start to make product updates and do that kind of thing, or improvements to customer service or whatever, we can hopefully see that change. Another motivation for adding that into our site is hopefully our customers start thinking, oh, I could recommend this to someone, sort of like a mental tactic.
Does it help them with that process if they get a score over a certain amount? Like, does it help them?
No, I wish it would. I wish it would say, so we can customize a follow-up question. And so I could choose to say, do you want to provide us the name of someone, or email or something like that. Our sales are very high touch, so we talk to all of our customers before they sign up, but I chose to ask a follow-up question that asks, what would it take to move this score higher than and then it can plug in the score they gave us. So if they gave us an 8, the follow-up is, what would it take to, bump it up higher than 8? And then they can just give a quick little answer, maybe get a little feedback that way.
Nice.
It's funny though, there is a user who really dislikes Civic Review, and he's not even a what I would call a power user. But his organization had, when they signed up, the primary user was forced pretty much to use Civic Review by her boss and didn't want to change. And so she went around to the rest of the people in her organization complaining about it, and kind of poisoned the overall perception of Civic Review for everybody. She now loves it, but there are people in the organization who have decided
tainted
that and there's this one guy, he's an older fellow, and he just dislikes the company so much, and so he'll go in and instead of just ignoring that survey, he'll give it an answer of 0. And I can just see him being like, in your face, Civic Review. I guess
that's good, because you're also giving him a place to channel his anger versus going out and speaking out of the public
He's not giving
square.
us any suggestions on how to make it better.
Exactly.
He's just giving us the 0 and then moving on. And
that's awesome. That's funny. Okay, well, that's good to know. And I just checked out Delighted. Thanks for that link. Looks like a cool product.
They have a free tier, and that's what we're on right now. So
very cool. No, I like that. And that's, to me, that, it's a no-brainer when you think about it. It's why not get anonymous metrics, and
Mhm.
I guess what I would say was that would be a great metric to strive for. Like if you're trying to improve your product, that would be the one thing, I guess, to optimize everything for, is to see if you can push those numbers up.
Yeah.
Uh,
I do another survey once a year. I send out a kind of a big survey. I email all the users. I ask them to go and fill out this survey. It takes about 5 minutes to do. I call it the State of Civic Review survey,
mhm.
and they get in there, and I ask questions about. Mostly, it goes off of the product market fit KPI. There's an article. I'll have to add it in
Yeah.
the show notes.
That'd be great.
It's the guy behind Superhuman, founder of Superhuman,
Mhm.
wrote up a blog post about this. It is eye opening, and he creates a way to measure product market fit by asking the question how.
Yeah, you told me
How-
about this.
I feel like I mentioned it. How dissatisfied would you be if
Yes.
Civic Review went away?
Right.
And that one was super insightful. And then I kind of solicited some feedback on feature requests and that kind of thing. It's just like a 4 or 5 question survey. So I'll be sending another one of those out in January.
It's great.
So I'm excited to see what
To everyone who's a user of the product.
all
Great.
active users.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a great question. Cool. Well, that's something that I think people can take some action on if they're listening from many folks that have products that fit. And I will be
Right.
adding that to my roadmap as well to integrate into once we get moving. So
the other big
Cool.
thing, news last couple weeks is, despite feeling sort of this secondary energy of negativity from customers, things aren't as bad as I'm making it sound, but I'm letting it motivate me the right way, I guess.
There you go.
But the other thing that happened was I closed my biggest deal with a customer, and that's been exciting.
Congrats.
It's actually, yeah, we officially closed. I may have mentioned it before, but they were a former freelance customer of mine. I actually built what I would call Civic Review V1.
Really?
About it was in 2013 when I
Mhm.
built this. And it was a custom built solution that does like a third of what Civic Review does today, and that kind of inspired me to build Civic Review over the years. I kind of went over that in another episode recently, but yeah, they've been asking me to fix bugs that happen, and I was just like, look, this is going to keep happening more and more because you're on PHP version 5, and like I outlined all these problems they had, and I'm like, pretty soon you're just going to have it all completely rewritten, or you could just sign up for Civic
Yeah.
Review. And
I've already built it.
it's funny because she didn't even ask for a demo. She was just like, send me a contract, and then
Cool.
we went through the contract song and dance and got it all
Nice.
squared away. So
So
Yeah.
that's optimal. I mean, she knows what it's like. She knows, and she trusts you. She knows you do. You
it was
understand.
the trust thing, I think.
Yeah. So
See,
that's
I
that
was
know,
like,
like, and trust.
I kept trying to ask her, don't you want to see a demo of this? I mean, you guys are committing to a pretty substantial
Yeah.
contract here. And she was like, no, I saw the website, and,
That's what we want.
she was just like, I feel good about this. So I'm like, all right.
Well, maybe that's a great topic for another time, is how to develop that trust. I would say that, for all of our businesses, but especially the one where we work and we sell online courses, the ones we often hear people who are like, my friend took your course, it did wonders for them, and that's why I bought that. Or they see us in some sort of, we do a fair amount of like live workshops, and so that's another way that we've learned to build up trust with strangers, is just by giving away free and helpful information. So different thoughts. And that's something that I'm thinking about with our company Outlish, is like, what can we do? What can I do to kind of put myself in a place where they get to know me as a founder, more than just behind this curtain? How can I expose myself and put myself out there so that they hear me talk? Because once you hear someone talk and talk about their product and what it does, the level of trust to me as a customer shoots up. Like, okay, this guy seems passionate, seems interested, seems willing to help me out. And so that's one thing I've been asking myself is how can I put myself in front of more potential customers in that way.
So I don't want to steer this whole episode off course too far, but there's a show that I listen to every once in a while called Built to Sell Radio.
Oh, okay.
There's a book called Built to Sell.
Yeah, Built to Sell. I remember that.
And one of the things they mention is, as a founder, you should pull yourself out of the business. So it's funny because I've been thinking a lot about how to pull myself out of it, and you're thinking about how to put yourself into a more. There are advantages to putting yourself in there because you know them personally. But heaven forbid, I die in a car crash and somebody else has to take control or take the reins. I would like Civic Review to be able to continue. So I've been trying to. I think hiring the right people on the customer service front is a big key in that.
Absolutely.
And
I don't think it has to be
part of your brand.
Yeah, I think you're right on the right track too. I don't think it has to be one or the other in terms of overall. I think it depends on what stage you're at too. So you've already got some momentum.
For sure.
I think what I'm sort of talking about would probably be helpful just because we don't have any momentum right now. And so getting momentum, the guy who is the founder of Conversion.ai, I don't know if you know that product, but it's basically I think they just renamed it Jarvis.com or something. And it basically is like it'll write full-on essays for you using AI about any topic. It's a pretty smart product, but I mean, like I say, I was not sold until I listened to a live webinar of the guy who founded it, and I think he's done a good job kind of pushing that momentum forward by exposing himself, putting himself out there, and getting known and trusted. Then I can also see 3 or 4 years down the road, once they have all that they need, there's no reason for him to keep doing that. He can now pull, what you're talking about and figure out ways to have other people take those positions and be the outward.
That's a really good point. I don't think I could have landed my first customers if I hadn't built some kind of a personal trust level. But the question is, does the founder have to do that? Or how soon can you replace that and have an account executive or
totally, that's
somebody
a good
else
too.
Fulfill that? So
but good points, good interesting things to think about.
Cool.
Anything on the family front?
Yeah, I was going to ask you what your Thanksgiving plans are before we go, since Thanksgiving is tomorrow.
Tomorrow for us, we are going to do some. We are just the small atomic family tomorrow. There's no extra family coming in. We kind of already did that a few months ago with people visiting, and so we're just going to be the 4 of us, and we're going to do some baking, I'm sure, and some recipes. No turkey tomorrow. We're just going to try some chicken and see how that goes. It'll be the first time without turkey for as long as I can remember, and it'll be fun. I'm actually looking forward to just not having to make awkward conversation and just enjoying the day.
Yeah. There's a turkey is a lot for one family too.
It is.
So, we are going up to my parents' house and spending some time with my brother and his family and my parents.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
So
great.
Yeah,
small. Where are they? Are they
not a big crowd, but
different city?
They're up in different city. They're up in Logan, Utah.
Okay.
Which is a little bit farther north from where I am right now, but it's close to where we're moving.
Cool.
Soon. So
very excited.
Yeah,
well, that
should
sounds
be
great.
Oh, we're running in a turkey trot as well, a 5K.
Oh, really? I was like, what is that? Oh, all right.
My little kids are so excited about it.
That's cool.
They
all of
want
you?
to do it so bad. Yeah, the whole
fun.
family. We'll put the 2-year-old in a stroller.
Nice.
And then we'll
Look at you guys.
make the other 3 kids run with us.
Very cool.
So,
all right. I thought that's a good way to start the day. You're going to enjoy your food after that.
I know.
That's great.
All right.
Very cool.
Well,
great talking to you, John, and we will talk next time. For those of you listening, you can find us at dadswithstartups.com. Make sure to tell and spread the news to anyone in your life that you think would appreciate a show by fathers who are doing startups. And make sure, if you do like the show, to leave us a review on your favorite podcasting app. We would so appreciate that. So until next time.
All right, take care.
All right, take care.